Welcome to the Green Grape Sessions. This video is not targeted at children. We will return to normal scheduled programming in other videos. GGS News! Dun, 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 dun. GGS News! Welcome. Today we are joined by me and the Crazy Bee Lady.
Hello.
Today's GGS News will be taking part in Warframe Dojo.
The home of Midgard.
Yeah, and here we have Batash, because why not? So, have a couple of topics to talk about today. A couple of controversial ones and not so controversial ones, and some retarded ones. But yes, we shall start with a nice piece of advice for a big company out there. Facebook, I don't want your stupid adverts. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, like, I'm getting sick of it. Like, how many times?
It's ridiculous that we are not the only ones that have this anger issue towards ridiculous adverts. We don't need them.
It's getting crazy. It is getting utterly crazy right now. Like, every other post on my Facebook feed is, hey, do you want to try this game? And it's like the same fucking game 3 or 4 times in a row. It is...
You've already said no.
Yeah, no, not interested. This is irrelevant to me. I do not need to see it. I do not want to see it. I want nothing to do with it. But Facebook's like, hey buddy, come on in. Look at our adverts. Hey buddy, you want some adverts? No, I don't. Fuck off. We don't want your adverts. They're horrible. They're vile. They're evil. I swear. You can avoid them. You can say they're irrelevant and don't show me this company again. And they're like, okay, we won't show you that company again. But here's another company offering the same product.
It's just a different name.
It's a different company. You know, it's like, hold on a minute, Facebook. Like, really? In other news, the BBC has received several complaints about an interview they did with the current Prime Minister, and I use the word very, very lightly, Boris the Truth Dodger Johnson, in which Andrew Marr diligently sort of did everything that the government wanted and only really sort of had to go at him over, you know, the mildest of things, but let 4 howling inaccuracies, falsehoods, lies, complete and utter bullshit slide without picking him up on it once. Not once did he pick him up on it. Right? And so the BBC on their website, they have this system where if they receive lots of complaints about a show, and they receive a lot of the same complaint about the show, apparently they'll put that as an automated option for you to speak to. It's like, okay, so what you'd think, you know, considering they'd received thousands, not hundreds. Now, one of the most controversial programs of all time that the BBC had received about 2,000 complaints. The BBC has received tens of thousands of complaints about this program, right? Just people ripping into it, saying, what the hell? You didn't cover the fact that he basically lied in this show, right? Instead of the BBC having that as the automated one, the one that they had as the automated response was, it appears that some people have complained that Andrew Marr may have interrupted the Prime Minister during one of his responses. Are you fucking serious, BBC? Are you fucking serious? Can you not at least pretend to be unbiased? Can you not at least pretend to go after leaders in the same vehemence as you did other leaders that you've gone after?
Yeah, they're only doing that because the others aren't Johnson. Johnson has been treated like he's king of the world by the BBC. It's almost as if they're getting paid by the Tories.
Well, the thing that really disgusts me with the whole Johnson and indeed Farage, because Garage gets the same kind of treatment from BBC. They give they've put Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson on the television in programs like Have I Got News for You, and comedy shows, to try and endear them to the public, and invited them back repeatedly over and over again, even though every time they come on they sit there going blah, 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 blah,
Don't
blah,
forget
blah.
Jacob Rees-Hitler.
And Jacob Rees-Hitler, bring these motherfuckers on and have them peddling their bullshit and their lies unabated, uncontested, so that people get those lies at the back of their heads whenever they hear a comment from a spokesman from the party, and they're like, oh yes, he must be speaking the truth because I've heard this somewhere before, even though it's a complete pile of bullshit. The BBC is so biased towards the government currently. It is beyond a joke at this point. When you've got Channel 4, who are not famous for their impartiality. Channel 4 have gone after people pretty fucking hard. When they go after someone, they go after them hard, right? Channel 4 are now the most impartial news broadcaster on British television. This is shocking. This is a bad state of affairs where Channel 4 is the voice of fucking reason.
BBC used to pride itself on being impartial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they took a nosedive of...
Yeah. Remember, this is the same BBC that when Britain was involved in wars in the Middle East and in the Far East in the 1950s and 60s, the BBC were the ones reporting about the atrocities that the British government were committing. Now we've got a BBC who has a question time person leading question time in Fiona Bruce, who is a blue blood Tory to the point where when one of the people on the panel, a Tory, got asked a question that was quite a difficult question that, would have been, important for the people to know, Fiona Bruce, instead of pressing that question and getting an answer out of the Tory party person, she turned around and put her hand on his arm and went, "It's okay. You don't really have to answer that one." Yes, you fucking do! It's called question time, you silly bitch! It's called fucking question time! Press the motherfucker! Put a nail on his hand and threaten to drive it through his hand if he doesn't answer the question! It's your job! You are an adjudicator. Your job is to ensure that the people who are asked questions answer the fucking questions! God damn it, woman! Do your fucking job! Good Lord. Oh my good Lord. BBC News bias is getting so ridiculous now that I can't even begin.
I stopped following anything they did years ago the moment that the biasness shit hit the fan.
They've always been fairly biased. I mean, their coverage...
I know that, but when it got predominantly worse...
Well, the thing was that it used to be biased towards the British. It was biased towards the British people. They tended to only put out stories that put British people in a positive light. And they'd go after anyone else. And so you used it kind of as a sort of, the BBC is saying the British have done this, but let's go and watch Al Jazeera and see what Al Jazeera say. Let's go watch CNN, see what CNN say, what Fox say. But now it's like the BBC aren't just biased towards the British, they're biased towards the Tories and the Brexit Party who incidentally, one of their candidates is registered as an Australian resident. He's not even paying tax in this country, and he's standing for election here. No, fuck off. No, this should not be the case. This should not be allowed.
I wonder who's paying them their wages.
Mm-hmm. And on companies making atrocious decisions, Amazon have had to do a product recall because in their infinite wisdom they thought it might be a good idea to sell Auschwitz-themed Christmas decorations. I just want you to let that settle in for a moment. Auschwitz, the Nazi concentration camp, themed Christmas decorations. Not the Auschwitz Jewish Memorial. Not the Auschwitz Against Racists Memorial. Not the Stand Up to Fascism Memorial. No, the actual concentration camp themed Christmas decorations.
Just let me get my head around this. The Amazon that we're talking about Amazon that sells, Hoovers and prams and water filters and toothbrushes and various other knickknacks, and Auschwitz themed, as you would say, Christmas themed.
Mm-hmm.
In one sentence.
Mm-hmm. Auschwitz concentration camp themed Christmas decorations.
How did they even allow it in the first place?
Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if there are any neo-Nazis out there, I'd just like to point out that the Nazis were opposed to Christianity. They weren't just opposed to Judaism, they were opposed to Christianity and cut all ties with the Christian church. So anything Nazi and Christian does not go together. Nazi and Jewish does not go together. Nazi and Islam does not go together. Nazi and anything other than Nazi does not go together. Auschwitz concentration camp themed Christmas decorations, including an Auschwitz bottle opener and Christmas tree baubles. Because, of course, that's exactly what the people in Auschwitz would have wanted at Christmas time. Would have been a bottle opener and some Christmas baubles. Anyway, breaking news. Dun, 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 dun. Breaking news. NASA have said that they've discovered a large sign out in space that reads, "Don't humans visit inside." I'm not sure what that means, but NASA have just confirmed they have seen a large space just outside our large sign just outside our solar system in space that reads, "Don't humans visit inside." Okay, back to our normal programming. TikTok seem to be having a little bit of a problem at the moment because some of their TikTokers, their talkers, their ticks,
the
twats,
the tits.
Yeah, have started a viral theme of making fun of suicide victims and their families. As someone whose family member, my aunt, committed suicide, this is not okay. As someone who has known people who have been forced into suicide through various circumstances, this is not okay. It is a horrible thing to have to choose to choose to commit suicide. If that is what you feel is the only option for you in life, that is a terrible, terrible thing and not something to be made fun of.
These people that are struggling mentally, it's a battle. It's a constant battle, day in, day out, night in, night out. And it's not easy. Not they have to try and get through each day, and the struggle can get so hard, and it gets to a point where they can't see any other way out.
Mm-hmm.
So they do what they think is right for them at the time.
Mm.
That does not give anybody the right out there in the world to suddenly make fun of them and the family who's having to go through this.
Firstly, it's not okay to poke fun at people who are in a position of feeling like they should commit suicide. Or commit suicide. Secondly, the devastation that is left behind when someone commits suicide. The utter devastation. I've seen it. I've seen what happens to families. I felt it on a personal level. What happens when you're the last person to speak to the person and they go and commit suicide for the rest of your life and for the rest of my life, because I was the last person to speak to my aunt. I was 5, but that still hasn't left me. That thought of maybe I could have done something different. Maybe I could have said something different. Maybe I could have just gone with her. Maybe I could have saved her. Maybe I could have helped her. Maybe she'd be alive today, if only. Right? That devastation, that constant questioning, that constant nagging at the back of your mind when you think about that person overrides almost everything else. The fact that when I was born, she turned round to my mother and said that that was the greatest day of her life. And for me to then know that after that, I was the last person she spoke to before she committed suicide, absolutely eats me up on a day-to-day basis, because I don't know. It's better to regret something you have done than something you haven't. And I regret that I didn't talk to her, go with her, walk with her, keep her company, notice that she was feeling down. Yes, I was 5, but still, even now, I can't see that as an excuse. I just see that as I should have known, I should have seen.
I don't see that as an excuse that that you were 5. You were 5. You didn't know. I'm not going to go into.
Well, anyway.
I'm not going to go into the.
It's
the story of it.
This whole making fun of the families of suicide victims. Like, I mean, it's one thing to do something to, appear like you're a rebel. Like, saying, oh yeah, I don't like zombie movies, despite the fact they're very popular. Or, I don't like fantasy, despite the fact that it's very popular. It's one thing to do that, but it's quite another. It shows a lack of compassion, a contempt for your fellow human beings, a lack of empathy to turn around and make fun of someone who has either committed suicide or is the family member of somebody who's committed suicide.
Their attitude would change like that if someone in their family went through that. Their attitude would change.
They'd make some excuse that, this is different.
It's not different.
It's not different. It applies to everybody. Everybody feels the same way. Everybody gets the same fucking gut-wrenching pain when they lose a family member, whether through illness, through murder, or through suicide. That gut-wrenching loss, that feeling of you could have done something, is always there.
It's never going to go. The fact that you lost someone, that emptiness will always be there. And these people that are making fun of the family members and the person in question, it just makes me so angry that they think it's all fun and games. just because they've not experienced it, so therefore it's funny.
Talking about ridiculous trends and moving it on. Anti-vaccination people are now claiming that to vaccinate your child is communist.
The levels of stupidity in the world is just astounding.
Now, while it is true that in communist China, children are vaccinated there, it is also true that in the UK, which is not a communist country, children are vaccinated. In Ireland, which is not a communist country, children are vaccinated. In Germany, which is not a communist country, children are vaccinated.
And
In France, Italy, Spain, Greece, Egypt, Syria, all non-communist countries, all vaccinate their children. Not because it's a political thought, not because, it's cool to do it, not because they're trying to cause a backlash, but because vaccination is good. Okay? Go ahead, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's quite all right. I was saying that Germany, have passed a law recently that states that every child, every adult will be vaccinated.
Must be
and
vaccinated.
it's so ridiculous that they have to be driven to this point because of one doctor's article, which was proven to be a lie.
To be a lie, yeah. He lied. He lied and was struck off the medical register, and yet everybody holds him up as, oh, this guy was saying this, but he was lying. He's admitted he lied. He faked his findings. Vaccination doesn't cause autism. The reason we have a greater rate of people being diagnosed as autistic now is simply because we now have a greater understanding of what autism is, that it's a spectrum, that you can have very, very mild autism, Asperger's, dyslexia, social interaction issues, right the way through to extreme levels of autism, where you basically can't function as a human being, right? It's a massive sliding scale, right? My dad, who was recruited by Mensa because he's a smart motherfucker, right? Has autism, right? Very, very, far on the lighter end aspect of autism. But he has autism. He's autistic. He's been autistic his entire life. My dad's dad had autism. My dad's granddad had autism. My dad's granddad was never vaccinated. He still had autism. It's just the way it is, based on today's knowledge, and understanding of certain characteristics, inability to socialize, inability to empathize. All of those features fall under the autistic spectrum at one point or another. Vaccines are good, okay? And the thing that blows my mind is that all of these anti-vaxxers who claim that vaccines are bad and that they've never had a sick day in their life, well, guess what? You didn't, because you were fucking vaccinated, you moron. You were literally vaccinated. If you're saying vaccination is bad, how come you've had such a good, full, strong life?
Do you know, half of these people that we're talking about here, did they forget that they had vaccines at school? Did they not wonder what these injections that they were being given before?
They were vitamin shots, surely. No, you were vaccinated, my friend. All of your fucking parents were vaccinated. You were vaccinated. We've been vaccinating since 18 fucking 60 something.
I thank the NHS and the schools that I went to.
Yes, Merry Christmas, NHS.
Merry Christmas, NHS. And we will always fight in your corner.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. But because of them, I got vaccinated. And yes, I've been ill a few times. Who hasn't? That's the nature of human bodies. But I know for a fact, if I hadn't have had those vaccinations, I would have been much worse off.
Incidentally, one person was saying that, oh, my children got febrile convulsions because of vaccinations. No, they got febrile convulsions because their body got a temperature, and that's what happens to small babies when they get a temperature.
I had febrile convulsions as a kid. My parents are doctors, retired now, and they certainly knew what they were doing, and they said, when I was a little bit older, that you need to get your jabs done. And I thank my parents because they're not complete numpties.
Yeah. Now, on the note of claiming to vaccinate as communist, as someone whose granddad on my mother's side was a card-carrying communist, right? He had the red flag. He had the little red book. He read Karl Marx.
It's a card-carrying commie.
He was a card-carrying communist. He went to meetings. But he also believed fervently in democracy. He also believed fervently in education. He also believed fervently in the idea that it's up to each individual to make a decision about who they vote for and their beliefs and their religious beliefs.
He fought for his country.
He fought for his country. He was in the army. He fought for his country and got medals for being in a war zone, and yet he was also a communist. Strange, because real communists, I'm not talking Soviet communists or Chinese communists, because they aren't communists, they're Soviet. They are Stalin-esque or Mao Zedong-esque communists. Real communists actually believe in democracy. Real communists actually believe in education and free healthcare for all. So if someone calls me communist because I agree with vaccination, then I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Me too.
I will take that as a motherfucking compliment. Thank you very much. I will stand up and say I'm a motherfucking communist. Now, I'm not a motherfucking communist. I happen to disagree with a lot of the stuff that Marx said. However, I will fucking own that shit. If agreeing with democracy, agreeing with education, agreeing with free healthcare for all makes me a fucking communist, better red than dead, baby. Better red than dead.
See, how I would be perceived is a socialist communist. Then, because I believe in equality for all. I believe in a free health service, free education. I don't believe that we should have different classes.
Oh, breaking news.
Oh, breaking news, sorry.
Dun, 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 dun. NASA has just released a video. It appears to be aliens passing through our solar system. In the video, you can clearly see an alien raising his window and shimmying down in his seat, as if for fear of being spoken to by humans, and turning the lights off and speeding up out of the system. Okay, back to our normal programming. The top 6 richest companies in the US have avoided 100 billion in tax in 9 years in the United States alone. The richest 6 companies in the United States have avoided paying tax over the last 9 years in the US alone, 100 billion in tax. That could have paid for an awful lot of healthcare. That could have paid for an awful lot of education. That could have paid for an awful lot of
housing
elderly
for
care,
the homeless.
housing for the homeless. And yet, those who've been in power, both Democrat and Republican, have not gone after them.
Do you know what makes me angry? Other than they are not being punished for this, that there are people on the streets that support them. That they're not angry that these companies are not being punished. It doesn't bother them. In fact, they fully support the fact that they're not being punished.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Yeah, the fact that these companies get away with this, and they're aggressively avoiding tax. This isn't, we'll just write this off as a tax write-off. This is aggressively seeking out ways to avoid paying tax. And this is the tax that they've avoided paying. Some of these motherfuckers have also not paid tax as well, and governments have had to resort to court action in order to get tax off these companies, which costs the taxpayers more money, because these companies draw that out for as long as they possibly can in the courts. Costing more than it would have cost if they just paid their fucking taxes. And that's the companies. That's not the people. That isn't, Elon Musk. That isn't, what's his name from Facebook? Oh God, Zuckerberg. Right. This is the companies themselves. How much have the top 1% aggressively avoided in paying taxes? If that's just the top 6 companies, imagine how much the rest of them have avoided. This is Amazon, this is Google, this is Facebook, right? These are companies that aren't even that invested in, tax, and yet they're avoiding it aggressively. So what's happening with the other ones? How much are we losing because of aggressive tax avoidance? How much are we losing from our public wallet, from the money that everybody else pays in? How much are we losing because of these companies? And why aren't the governments going after it? Because the people who are in power are in the pockets. And this includes Donald Trump. This includes Boris Johnson. This includes the entirety of the Democrat Party. This includes the entirety of the Republicans. This includes
the newspapers as well.
The newspapers. And anyone who says, oh, but the news tells me this, the news tells me that. Remember who owns your news broadcast networks. It's not you. You don't own the news broadcast networks. They're not there to tell you the news. They're there to tell you the story they want you to read. Bloomberg, who is a Democrat. He's a Democrat who's going for election. He wants to be elected as president in 2020 or 2025 or 2024, whenever it is. Right? He wants to be the next president of the United States. He owns a news network. Do you think they're going to put anything negative about him in their news network? Do you think for a moment that his news network, his newspapers, his mass media empire will put out anything negative about him? And do you think it will cost him a fucking penny? No, it will not, because he already owns the company. It won't cost him a thing. So, yes, Trump is right. The news is full of fake news. Unfortunately, it's full of fake news in favour and against of Donald Trump. He is the bullshitter in chief. And unfortunately, there is a Congress full of bullshitters, a Senate full of bullshitters. They are all bullshitters. And it's the same in every other country around the world. Every other country, every other government in the world is full of bullshitters. And it's about time people rose up and said something. Rise, rebel, make a fist, resist. This is new news, breaking news. NASA has intercepted video footage from the nearest inhabited star system. It appears to be a TV series called Planet Terror and features a load of aliens who crash land on a planet that is infested with human trash. Spoiler, they never make it home, but do go out in a blaze of glory. Talking about blaze of glory, scientists have decided that climate change has reached the point of, oh shit, we're fucked. 9 of the 15 oh fuck, climate change is going to go much worse than we thought it was tipping points have already been tipped. 9 of the 15, and they are acting like a domino effect. As one goes, the next goes, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. It's just falling, and yet we're still here complaining about Brexit, complaining about trade deals, complaining about who the next fucking president of the United States of America is going to be, and whether or not we should impeach Trump, which I think is a completely vindictive, pointless move for the Democrats to make at this point.
If people want proof of climate change, why not have a look at Australia at the moment, currently in New South Wales and neighbouring areas? The bushfires, 150 bushfires they know of.
Yeah, 150 bushfires in Australia, which gets bushfires quite regularly, fair enough. However, Siberia, which is not really famous for its bushfires, has had a forest fire going for the last 3 years. Why isn't this in the news? Why are we not going, oh shit, Siberia's on fire? I'm sorry, Siberia. Siberia is a permafrost. As far as I was led to believe, it was supposed to be one of the coldest places that humans go and live. Siberia. It's on fire. It's literally on fire, and the Russians have been unable. The Russians. This is a people who, when there is a snowdrift on the fucking train track, speed the motherfucking train up to punch through the fucking snowdrift. Right? Their trains are that fucking sturdy. This is the people who literally power their fucking central heating off of hydrothermal vents beneath the earth. Right? This is the people who make it a point of saying, if nature has a problem, we'll overcome it. Right? Have been unable to put out the fires in Siberia. Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, all of these places are burning. Every year now, every year, Northern Ireland is having fires. Every year now, Scotland is having fires. Scotland and Northern Ireland, 2 of the wettest places in the known universe. Literally, you can go to the Mariana Trench and have less water than you get in Northern Ireland. And yet, we're getting fires. Bushfires, forest fires, freaking just breaking out everywhere. I'm sorry. In my lifetime, I have seen the climate change. And no, this is not part of the swings and roundabouts, because according to all known logic, we should be in an ice age right now, but we're not. Imagine what would happen if we weren't due to be in an ice age. We were due to be in a hot age. You know, the Earth is heating up despite the fact that the sun is in a cooling section of its life cycle. That things are getting colder outside, the Earth is still heating up. The US administration has said that 2 degrees, which is what is internationally accepted as the "oh shit, we're fucked" moment, is the minimum we're going to expect in the next 100 years. It's not going to be 2 degrees. From all predictions, they're expecting 7 to 9 degrees. 7 to 9. If 2 is, oh shit, we're fucked, 7 to 9 is, well, shit. Talking about, oh, well, I guess we're fucked. The Tories, it has been revealed in the last week that the Tories, not only are they lying when they say, oh, the NHS isn't up for sale, they've already been in negotiations with the United States of America for the sale of the NHS. An unredacted report has come out detailing the fact that the Tory party is currently, and has been for about a year, been in talks to sell off the NHS piece by piece.
It's our fucking NHS. Ours, not America's.
Yeah. In America, just so as you know how heated people get around the idea of freedom and the American way and guns in the US. You know how people get heated. Well, imagine that only 100% of the population, bar the rich motherfuckers at the top, right, the Tory party, feel that more strongly about the NHS than you feel about freedom, that you feel about democracy, despite the fact you don't live in a democracy, you live in a republic, but that's beside the point, that's splitting hairs, than you feel about guns. However you feel, whether it's pro or anti, however strongly you feel about that, we top that in how we feel about our NHS. You come for our NHS, it will be over our cold, dead bodies. And it will be the cold, dead bodies of me, it will be the cold, dead bodies of my wife, it will be the cold, dead bodies of every single person living in this country. We will fight tooth, nail, blood, fist, and fucking fury.
It's our institution.
It's our National Health Service. It's the greatest thing to happen to this country in a very long time. It's one of the most important decisions, and it inspired other nations around the world to follow suit. Our NHS. It's not for sale. You can't have it. You can't do anything with it. It's ours.
It's our pride and joy. Yes, it may have its fault, but that's because of the various governments underfunding it.
Mm-hmm.
And my family worked for the NHS. They came over here in the 70s, they emigrated, and they worked for so many years with the NHS. In fact, it was the NHS that brought them over because they believed in a National Health Service.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, they are thankful that they worked in it. Yes, they worked English, many hours.
Mm-hmm.
And without them, we wouldn't be where we are today.
I know for a fact there have been multiple times throughout my life that without the NHS I'd be dead right now. I would be dead right now if it wasn't for the NHS. So I believe wholeheartedly in the NHS being one of the greatest institutions in the world. And financially speaking, they're also, and this is according to independent reports, the most efficient health service on the planet, bar none.
Do you know what gets me about America and their health service? Is that every doctor, every nurse, before they become licensed doctors and nurses, they have to take the Hippocratic Oath, which basically says, in shorthand terms, free healthcare for all. You do not deny anyone that needs your help.
Do no harm.
Do no harm. Our National Health Service is doing that. Nobody's denied because, of something like they're poor.
Mm-hmm.
And in
If you're a
America,
British citizen, you get free healthcare. It doesn't matter. At the point of use, it is free healthcare. And it costs far less per person in tax than it does in the US. In even other countries that have an NHS, like Ireland, like Germany, like France, like Australia, like New Zealand, like Canada, we pay less in tax per head of population for our NHS than anywhere else. And yet our NHS still manages to outperform every other health service in the world. Does it have its faults? Absolutely it does. It's been cut to ribbons. It's effectively been on a pay freeze for the last 10 years. It's effectively not had any investment for the last 10 years. And yet they've still managed to work to the bone. And nurses and doctors here work to the bone. And a lot of those nurses and doctors are immigrants that have come here to work in the NHS. And they do it because they're inspired by how amazing the NHS actually is.
if it wasn't for the NHS, I wouldn't have had my cornea transplant.
She'd be blind right now. 100% blind. Wouldn't be able to see. It would have gotten worse and worse over the last couple of years, and she'd be blind. So, yeah, and Tories, you attempt it, there's going to be a revolution, motherfuckers.
Everyone in Britain, and I'm not kidding, because I've been reading everything in regards to this upcoming election. Oh, God. And the amount of people that have come forward and said if the Tories try anything, there is going to be, in inverted commas, war on the streets.
Not in inverted commas, literal war on the street. Breaking news. NASA have just released a intercepted communication amongst the aliens who have apparently been holding a day of mourning for Thanos, whom they believe had the wrong idea about life and the rest of the universe, but didn't go far enough when it came to humans.
Yes, Thanos. He really should have done his research.
Should have done his research.
Yeah.
And the final segment of today's Green Grape News is clan news.
We have merch!
We have merch. We have now got 3 avenues for merch. We can get stuff done through Cromark, but that has to come via us, which is expensive. And delivery cost is expensive. We have the Streamlabs merch store, which is the Clan Midgard / or Streamlabs / Midgard store. I'll bring up the actual, no, not store, Streamlabs. Let me bring it up so I can give you the actual website, so I'm not selling you the wrong news. We also have the Teespring merch store. Now the Streamlabs merch store, which is https://streamlabs.com/clanmidgard/merch. All we've got up on there at the moment is a mug, Guardians of the Light Drinksies.
It's a very, very nice
It's a very nice mug. It's not a massive mug. I mean, it's 15 ounce. It's pretty decent. We have the Guardians of the Feetsies, which is a nice pair of socks.
Which I own and I'm very happy with.
Yeah.
I'm not being biased. It's actually really nice quality.
Nice. It's a kind of exercise pair of socks, isn't it, really, rather than a...
Sports socks.
Yeah, sports socks.
Yeah, but it's not thick like some sports socks can be.
It's a nice material.
It's a nice material, yeah.
We also have a Guardians of the Wolsey's Light, which is a poster to go up on the wall. We have a Guardians of the Pantsies for the Shield Maidens in the clan. We have a Guardians of the Sleepsies, which is a big pillow. We have a simple T-shirt, white, Guardians of the Chestsies. A Guardians of the Dark Drinksies, which is a colour-changing mug. It is black until you put hot water in it, and then the design is shown up beneath. We have a tank top type thing for the ladies in the clan, and like a picture in a frame type thing. Now those are the Streamlabs ones. It's very limited. We'd have to pay more to get the rest of the stuff that they have on there available. But the other option, and I think this is probably the better and also the cheaper option for anyone interested, and easier for those in the United States, we have a storefront on Teespring. Which is the link to is https://teespring. That's Tango Echo Echo Sierra Papa Romeo India November Golf.com /en-GB if you're in the UK, US if you're in the US, or AU, I believe, if you're in Australia or anywhere like that, /stores/Guardians of Midgard. That's Guardians of Midgard. On that store, we have a fleece blanket. We have some leggings for the Shield Maidens. We have a V-neck T-shirt for the Shield Maidens. Two V-necks for the grunts, a tote bag for those that totes want to go shopping, some stickers that you can stick somewhere, 2 sets of mugs that you can have different colours, a poster, an indoor pillow, 2 indoor pillows, hoodies in various sizes and various colours, and T-shirts, the round neck ones in various sizes and various colours. So feel free to go along and have a look at those. If you go onto the Teespring website and just search Guardians of Midgard, it will also show up. Let me just check. Guardians of Midgard. No, didn't show anything interesting. How do you search? I don't know. Anyway, I'll put a link up on the Facebook page and in the clan page, so anyone who needs to get to it can. Anyone who's watching this video, the links will be in the description below. Yes, so we have merch, and for those that are in the clan that ordered them or requested them, the hats should be arriving from now onwards. There's a few people already have them. The ones that are being delivered to our United States friends, I'm afraid, are taking a little bit longer. There's not much we can do about that. That's just the nature of the postage system. But it should be there soonish, I hope.
Soonish. We only posted it a few days ago.
Yeah, we only posted a few days ago, so it should be there. I'm going to be putting some more merch up on the Guardians of Midgard page as the weeks progress and as designs get sort of done. I may do some cool ones. Like I'm thinking of doing a GGS news for anyone who likes GGS news, to have Walnitty spams chat with bees.
Hey, I am the crazy bee lady.
She is the crazy bee lady. She must keep with the bees.
Title.
Yeah, must keep up with her title. But anyway, I think that concludes GGS news for this week. Sorry it's late as a leaving notice. Green Grape sessions have been falling by the wayside. We've both been ill. I apologise. We will be back up to streaming regularly again. For instance, later tonight we will be streaming some more 7 Days to Die. As it currently stands, we are slowly making our way back into the streaming schedule. I do apologize. We will get it back up. YouTube will have its channels uploaded daily from tonight onwards.
Fingers crossed. We're not 100% sure, but we're going to try and do our best.
And for anyone who is a member of the clan who wants to come along and talk about any subjects, anything at all, it doesn't matter whether you're whatever it is that you want to talk about. It's the clan news. You talk about what you want to talk about. It's your news channel. The fact that I'm here is just here to host it and to rant and rave like a lunatic, because I am.
At some point, I'm not sure when, I want to do a little news about the plight of our bees.
Well, yes, we'll discuss that later. Because that is
I know
very
that's what
important,
I said later,
but, yeah.
because I need to...
Yes. I know you've got to get some research and write all stuff down, but yeah. So if you can let us know on Facebook, we will include that in the schedule. Thank you for tuning in. Today was the GGS news, and we shall be ending soon. So have fun, look after yourselves, be good to one another. If you can't be good, be bad. Peace.